What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of SpeedSim. My name's Amy.
And I'm E-House.
And today we're going to be talking about TLR flashlights, or Streamlight TLRs.
Yeah, the Streamlight TLR-1. For a lot of people watching this, they're probably no stranger to the TLR-1. I mean, these are pretty prolific throughout the SpeedQB community.
Very popular.
A lot of milsim players use them. But I think we're going to be talking about why they're kind of our weapon light of choice, especially for handguns, but we'll get into using them on some other platforms in just a second.
Alright, so, I mean, the reason why I bought a TLR is mainly because it was more affordable than some of the other options out there, like Surefire, for instance, which is outrageous for the amount of money, or the amount of cost that you're getting for a flashlight. I mean, yes, they're great, but $300 or even like $220 or whatever is a little extreme for Airsoft.
Yeah, I would probably be more likely to buy a Surefire if I was putting it onto real firearms.
Right.
But for Airsoft, the TLR-1 is about as expensive as I'm willing to get.
Exactly.
And these usually retail, I mean, sometimes you can get lucky and find them on sale for below $100, but generally speaking, you're looking at $100 to $150, depending on the model of TLR that you're buying, unless you get something like the TLR-3, I believe it is. It's like the single cell one. I don't really like those for reasons that are mostly personal. They're very small. They're kind of odd on a lot of guns. The battery life is not as good. They're not as bright. And they're more of a pain in the ass to fit into holsters. And that's another reason I like the TLR-1 is because a lot of holsters are made to accept the TLR-1 on a huge variety of guns.
Right. For instance, the Omnivore holster is mainly why I bought that holster, because I do have a TLR. Now, we do have two different versions of the TLR. I have the HL, and Eric has just...
I have the TLR-1S.
Yes. The reason why I got the HL is because I do have a SpeedQB light filter on there that's purple, for obvious reasons. And that's why I wanted the high output, is that way I don't lose a lot of the throw.
Yeah, and I got the S because it was on sale when I got it.
There you go.
But the S is still plenty bright. We'll put the lumen ratings down below here because I don't remember them off the top of my head. But the point is the TLR-1 is a bright light, and it's never not been bright.
No.
Kyle actually has an ancient Streamlight TLR-1 that I think at the time was only rated at like, what, 120 lumens, Kyle?
100.
100 lumens. But even that 100 lumen ancient TLR-1 is a lot brighter than a lot of the other like no-name China brand lights that claim to be like 1,000 lumens. That's because lumens aren't technically an industry standard measurement with the way they're measured. They can either be measured at the source or measured at the output. It's weird, but Streamlights, however they measure, they're very bright. They do a great job of spilling out into a room, having a decent amount of throw as well, and you can really illuminate any room that you're going to be in or any indoor place. Or even outdoors, they have a lot of application. I actually had mine on my shotgun, my real shotgun, for a long time.
Yes.
And that actually had a remote switch, a pressure switch. And you can get remote pressure switches for these. I lost mine when I moved, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have it here for you. In fact, I lost most of the stuff related to this TLR when I moved. I just have the light itself. But they also come with a variety of options for the inside where you can insert the different adapters for mounting onto different platforms. There's Glock adapters, there's H&K adapters, or you just get a rail adapter or a specific version of the TLR for H&K. Then you've got just standard Picatinny adapters. There's all kinds of options for these things.
Yeah. Another great thing about these TLR, I'm sure there's other companies that make these, but specifically to the TLR, Airsoft Gateway has a lot of cool options. Like, they have a Ricochet Lens that you can replace these with. So for a lot of players who play indoor, and when they get struck by a BB, they will obviously shatter. And they have replacement lenses, and they have a little thick, what do you call it? Lexan.
Yeah.
A little thick Lexan that you can stick in there and screw all together, and you're good to go. And then also, Tapped Airsoft makes extended switches here for the TLR in multitude of different colors. And I think Airsoft Gateway is working on theirs as well.
Yeah, so there's a ton of accessories and aftermarket support for these. You know, like I said, you can get the remote switches, you can get all that stuff that you just mentioned, and then there's so many different versions of the TLR. Yeah. There's the TLR-1, the TLR-1S, the TLR-1HL. There's all kinds of stuff. Then you get the versions of the TLR that are meant for rifle mounting, and they have a larger reflector so that they can have more throw.
Right.
And it's an interesting light because there's so many different options for it. And you can also get TLR versions that have lasers on them as well. I know, again, Kyle has the TLR-1 TLR VIR, which is
TLR VIR. That's before Surefire, before they even branded their own stuff. It has no branding on it even. And that's only 80 lumens, but it's still as bright as the other stuff.
Yeah, so you can get IR options even if you're really, but those are way more expensive. You're looking at like $300, $400 or something like that.
You can still find an old VIR, which they exist in surplus still all over the place. You can get them for $100. And then you have IR capability on that, but it comes with the weapon mount system light, not a pistol mount system.
Okay, so yeah, crazy amounts of options for these. They're also not horrifically expensive, despite being all aluminum. Yeah. And the finish on them holds up pretty well, even though I got mine in 2014.
I got mine in 2017.
Yeah, so my TLR is going on 5 years old, and it's beat. Like, it's got all kinds of markings all over it, but it works like a champ since the day I bought it. Still has the strobe mode as well. And then with these, there's 2 different ways to use them.
Yes. Okay, so momentary, and then you have strobe, and then if you flick it on the other side, it's just always on.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
And then depending on how you mount these, you can use that differently as well. Yeah. Well, I was also going to mention, while I'm actually taking this off for the purpose of putting on this rifle to demonstrate, the nice thing about this is you can take this on and off with a coin.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me, I'm using my key right now, and you can, if you can actually get it in there right, I did this earlier. There we go. Let me try a round key. This works better if you're not an idiot. I am a profound idiot. There we go.
So we're having you do the shooting test.
Bam. So there we go. I just got it with this key, and then you just press it, take it off. Very easy to take on and off using a flathead screwdriver, a coin, even if you don't really crank it down, your hand, whatever you want to use. And then you can just throw it onto whatever you want to throw it onto, tighten it down using your hand, flathead screwdriver, coin, and you are good to go with whatever. And here you see how this looks on, this is a CZ805 Bren. And with a rifle, it gets interesting because depending on how you mount it, it can change how you use it. I can actually use my index finger here to turn this on and have just a standard grip and use my trigger finger to turn it on, or I could use my trigger finger to turn it on to constant on and then flip it off. Or you could even use your thumb if you mount it in a different way. I know a lot of people will mount these on top of AR quad rails.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I know you've done that before.
Yes, I have done that.
Laura,
it really works because if you flip it the right way, like if you mount it on top, you always have the momentary on your offhand.
Yeah, if you mount them on the side too.
I use the side one for MP7.
Yep, and if you mount it on the side, you can still use your thumb, press it down,
although
get the momentary
I will admit, a little awkward.
It's awkward, but if this is like the only light you have and you're trying to move it between different guns, because this is expensive, expensive for Airsoft, but compared to a lot of other lights, it's a lot more flexible than a lot of people will give it credit for. And I know like the Surefire X300 is also very popular in that way. A lot of people use it like that, putting it onto multiple different guns, but the TLR can do the same thing in a lot of ways.
Cheaper.
It's just cheaper.
Another thing to mention, in case you didn't know, is this hot warning is very serious because it gets very hot if you leave it on for too long. It will actually burn a little bit.
Yeah, no.
It's no joke.
Yeah. Flashlights in general, like, if you really leave them on for a while, they will get hot, especially...
Depending on what brand you buy, because the little cheap Airsoft ones you buy for like $30 or $40, they're not that hot compared to like the TLR HL that I have, which gets absurdly hot.
Yeah, well, those don't run that hot usually because they're not usually that bright.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of energy coming out of this thing because light is energy, and that energy also diffuses this heat energy, especially around the metal housing on this. Like, when you buy really bright flashlights, they get really hot regardless of where they come from. So just make sure that you're prepared for that, and you don't accidentally burn yourself on your really, really hot flashlight. But if you're mounting this on a handgun...
I figured I'd throw that in there just because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people. So anyway, those were...
I'm sorry.
So anyway... Anyway, those are our thoughts on the Streamlight TLR-1 and why it's kind of our go-to light for Airsoft uses. I know that for a lot of people, a light like this is expensive. That's kind of the comment I get a lot is, I want to get a TLR-1, but they're so expensive. But then I look back at them and I say, yeah, but mine's almost 5 years old.
It's really worth it.
Yeah, I bought this light once, and it goes between every handgun I have. I put it onto rifles if I really need to. I put this on my real shotgun, and I ran hundreds of rounds of real double-up buck ammunition through my real shotgun with this light on it, and it hasn't blinked. It doesn't die.
Yeah,
it's just a great light.
Yep. Although I will admit the batteries do go out really quickly.
And battery life in any handheld pistol light is really going to be pretty limited.
Yeah.
I think this is rated for like an hour and a half of continuous runtime. And that's the issue you run into with really any handgun light is the runtime is never quite as much as people want, especially not on the high output lights.
Exactly.
But yeah, those were our thoughts.
All right, if you guys enjoyed this, give it a like rating. Let us know what you think of the TLR and if you have great experiences with. And my name is Amy.
And I'm E-House.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace. Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.